My son and his wife started planning how to spend my ex-wife's money right at her funeral while she was still in the ground. They walked around her big house, taking notes on everything like it was already theirs. They treated me like I was not even family. They tried to keep me out of the will reading the next day. Little did they know I held every single dollar in a secret trust, and I was the one in full control. I made their greedy plans fall apart in the most shocking way, but you will have to hear the full story to find out exactly how it happened. Before we continue, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tell us where you are watching from to get a shout out on our next video. I never thought my life would end up like this. My name is Edward. I am 68 years old. I spent 32 years flying fighter jets for the Air Force. I love the sky more than anything. I thought I would grow old with my wife Victoria by my side. We raised our son Kyle together. We had good years. We laughed a lot. We had a nice house in Austin, Texas. Then things changed. Victoria started her fashion business. It grew big fast. Money came in, but problems came too. 10 years ago, we split up. It was not because we stopped loving each other. We did it on paper to protect our things from a bad lawsuit against her company. We told everyone it was growing apart. In real life, we stayed close. Every Friday night, I drove my old Jeep to her big house by the lake. We ate steak on the back deck. We talked about old movies. We laughed about the old days. We held hands sometimes. Kyle never knew any of this. He thought I was just a broke old pilot living in a small place above a bait shop. He thought I had nothing. He was wrong. Kyle is 36 now. He works with social media. He makes ads for companies. He and his wife Brooke look rich on the internet. They show off new clothes and trips. But they owe a lot of money. They have credit cards maxed out. They have loans. They live in a nice loft that Victoria helped pay for. Brooke has 300,000 followers. She posts videos about her life. She calls herself a lifestyle expert. They both act like they have it all. But I knew the truth because Victoria told me everything. She worried about Kyle. She said he was spending too much. She said Brooke pushed him to look rich. I listened. I helped her with papers for her business when she asked. We kept it quiet. The day Victoria died, it hit me hard. It was a sunny Thursday in Texas. She had a heart problem that came fast. I was the one who sat with her in the hospital the night before. She held my hand and said, "Edward, take care of Kyle, even if he does not see it." I promised. The funeral was at a big church in Austin. Kyle made it fancy. He hired a drone to fly over and take pictures. Brooke wore a black dress that looked more for a party than a goodbye. I put on my old Air Force uniform. It still fit okay. The wings on my chest shined. I sat in the back row. No one talked to me much. Kyle did not even look at me during the whole service. His speech talked about himself a lot. He said Mom taught me to chase dreams. He said 12 times. He said her name 4 times. I felt sad, but I stayed quiet. After the burial, everyone went to Victoria's big house for food and talking. That is when it started to hurt bad. Brooke walked around with her phone out. She measured the curtains in the living room. She took pictures of the kitchen counters. She said to Kyle, "This chandelier will look great in our place." Kyle nodded and said we can flip the big bedroom for extra money. They were still wearing their funeral clothes. Kyle's tie was loose. They laughed like it was a party. I stood in the corner with a cup of coffee that was getting cold. One of Victoria's old friends gave it to me. No one else said hi. I felt like a stranger in the house I used to visit every week. Kyle finally walked over. He put his hand on my shoulder hard like he was pushing me out. "Daddy said this is hard. Mom is gone. We think you should skip the will reading tomorrow. It might be tough for you." Brooke came over too. She sipped from a fancy bottle of old whiskey that Victoria saved for special days. She said the house alone is worth $6 million, plus the stores and everything. It is $28 million easy. Kyle smiled big. He said we could buy that ranch up in the hills. I put my cup down. I said, "I will see you tomorrow, Kyle." He looked mad. He said, "Dad, I told you not to come." I said, "I heard you. I will be there anyway." I walked out of my Jeep. I did not go home. I drove to a quiet spot by the lake. I met my old friend Rebecca there. She was Victoria's lawyer for 20 years. We sat in her car and talked about what would happen the next day. She said the papers are ready, Edward. Everything is set. I felt nervous but ready. I drove home late. I sat in my small room and looked at a picture of Victoria. I said, I will do this for you. The next morning I got to the lawyer office early. Kyle and Brooke were already there. They looked dressed up like for a wedding. Kyle had a fancy coffee. Brooke took pictures in the waiting room. They saw me and rolled their eyes. Kyle said, Dad, you really came. The lawyer Rebecca walked in. She sat at the big wood table. She opened her folder. She read the will slow. Victoria left the house, the stores, the money, all of it in trust. Total $28 million. Kyle smiled. He squeezed Brooke's leg. He said, good. How do I get the money? Rebecca said, you do not. The trust is set, so only the trustee can decide. No selling. No borrowing. Kyle looked confused. Who is the trustee, he asked. Rebecca looked at me. It is Edward Harlan. The room got quiet. Kyle jumped up. He yelled, no way. This is crazy. Dad lives in a dump. He eats cheap food. He has not had real money in years. Brooke said Victoria hated him. That is why they split. I stood up slow. I walked to the table. I sat down. I said, your mom and I ate dinner every Friday for 10 years after the split. We talked every morning on the phone. I helped her with her business deals. I checked every paper. Kyle's mouth hung open. He said, you are lying. Rebecca said, it is true. I showed them some notes from Victoria. Kyle got red in the face. He said, I will fight this in court. I said, go ahead. But for now, the money stays with me. I will decide what you get. Right now, you get nothing. I walked out. Rebecca came with me. She said that was clean. I said the fight is just starting. That night, Kyle called me 15 times. I answered the last one. He said, Dad, turn the air conditioning back on at the house. I said the trust does not pay for extra things like that. He yelled, the fridge is empty now. I said, eat what you have. He hung up mad. Then he called back softer. Daddy said I owe money to some bad people in Vegas. They're outside my door. They want $280,000 by Friday, or they will hurt me. I said, how much trouble are you in? He said, bad. I said, I will take care of it. He said, thank you, Dad. I said, well, not like how. I hung up. The next day, I met the men from Vegas at a restaurant. I paid $150,000 from my own savings. I took over the debt. Now Kyle owed me. I sent him a letter in the mail. It said, all your debts are mine now. You pay $3,500 a month. He called screaming. He said, what kind of dad does this? I said, the kind that is trying to teach you. 2 months later, Kyle sued me to take me off the trust. He said I was too old and confused. The judge asked for a doctor check. I went to the clinic. They said I was fine. The judge threw the case out. Brooke made a long video on the internet. She cried and said I was a mean old man who stole their money. It got 1.5 million views. People sent her money in a fundraiser. She got $70,000. I watched the video. Then I stopped it. I moved the trust money to safe places. I changed the locks on the big house. I stopped paying for their loft. Kyle broke in one night. He went through Victoria's office. He broke drawers. He looked for a new will. Cameras caught everything. The police got him at a fast food place the next morning. Brooke posted the video of him in handcuffs. People turned on her. They asked where the fundraiser money went. Then one night Brooke got hurt bad. Kyle hit her. The police took him. I went to the hospital. Brooke looked small on the bed. Her face was swollen. She said, why are you here? I said, because you need help. I told her about a safe place for women. She cried real tears. She said, thank you. I stayed until she slept. The trial came fast. Kyle got 8 years. I visited him in prison after 3 months. He looked thin. He said, Dad, I am sorry. I said, I know. I put $60 in his prison account every month. He said, that is not much. I said, it is yours to learn from. When you get out, I have a job for you at the big house. We will turn it into a place for old Air Force people who need help. You can run it. Pay is $45,000 a year. He looked surprised. He said, "I do not know how." I said, "I will teach you." I drove home after that visit. The Texas sky was blue. Flowers were blooming. I went to the big house. I took down the fancy light Brooke wanted. I put up a simple one from a store. It looked plain but strong. That is how I like things now. Strong and lasting. I flew jets for 32 years. I faced danger every day. But the hardest thing was watching my own son lose his way. I had to be tough to save him. Now the house is getting ready for veterans. Victoria would like that. Her name is on the front. My name is on the list of helpers. Somewhere in prison, my son is learning that $60 means more when you earn it. Life is not about the big money. It is about the people you help. If you ever had to be hard on family to help them, smash the like button. Tell me in the comments what you would do. Subscribe for more stories like this. The next one might hit even closer to home. Every hurt, every choice, every hope. They forgot the man who flew high to keep them safe. I reminded them. The load got heavy. I held it steady. Their world changed, and mine found peace.